Hello and welcome to the News at 7, where we get to the heart of the day's stories and communities across Scotland. Tonight, a union warns GPs could be heading for industrial action if they don't get more funding.
I've been a doctor now for almost 40 years. I've never been on strike ever. The thought of it I find appalling.
We'll hear from that GP about the challenges his practice and others are facing. Also tonight, the wildfires that destroyed a decade of conservation on the Isle of Arran.
The fire actually started just on the edge of the forestry there, and then it spread right up the hill and then right across the hillside, round the corner and right up to Goatfell.
And the low humming noise affecting some residents in the Isle of Lewis. And we'll have all the sport with Lewis too. What have you got for us tonight?
Well, Laura, after a turbulent campaign, Hearts are looking for their third manager of the season. We gauge the mood among the fans, and I'll bring you one of the best goals you're likely to see in a long time.
And I've spoken to singing sensation Daniel O'Donnell as he prepares to take to the stage in Scotland again. Hi, I'm Laura McKeever. Welcome to the News at 7. A funding gap that threatens the future of our health service. That's the warning from GPs who say industrial action may be needed if the government doesn't make more money available. The Scottish Government says it's working on finding sustainable solutions and is determined to increase the number of GPs. But the British Medical Association, a trade union which represents doctors, says up to £290 million is required.
I think nothing is off the table. Without general practice, the NHS cannot exist. With only through general practice can you have a system that's able to deliver free at the point of use healthcare. Since 2008, we have seen an inflationary cut to general practice of £290 million. Now that is almost a third of the entire budget for general practice. Undoubtedly, that has a major impact on the amount of services and the level of care that we can provide to our patients and our communities.
So I recognise there are challenges, which is why the constructive relationship that we have with the BMA I want to continue. I want to hear the areas of concern that they have and to see what we can do to provide a sustainable solution going forward that allows them to continue delivering the incredible services that they do for patients across Scotland.
Well, earlier I spoke to Dr John Montgomery, who works as a GP in the Govan area of Glasgow, and he told me what his practice is seeing day to day.
It's extremely difficult, Laura. The number of consultations that we need to do, and just to give you some numbers from my own practice, back in 2019, our 4-doctor practice were doing 1,100 consultations per month. That's now gone up to almost 2,000 consultations per month since then. So it means that you really feel like you're on a treadmill. You're pedalling furiously, trying to keep up with demand. You're trying to run a practice with all the costs that are involved in that at a time where funding into general practice is at its lowest.
The Scottish Government say as well as more funding, they are hoping to get additional GPs. Is that something that you see, that you think is realistic and will happen?
It's been promised, unfortunately, by politicians for some time, but the reality is that as the population of the country has increased by 9%, the number of GPs has decreased by 6%. So unfortunately, the rhetoric is not transferring into real life in general practice.
How does that make you feel as a doctor when you know that it's becoming harder then in your mind to serve those patients?
It's extremely frustrating, and my worry is that we are putting off the young GPs who we desperately need to come into the profession to help us manage the access problem. They need to be encouraged to come into what fundamentally is still one of the greatest jobs that anybody could do. But we're not able to do the job that we're training them to do. We don't have the time to address the complexity of the consultation now. Patients are not coming in with one problem in areas like ours in Govan. They're coming in with 3, 4, 5 problems. And to try and manage that in the context of a 10-minute consultation is well nigh impossible.
I'm sure in your profession nobody wants to take strike action, but with this now a possibility, what needs to happen to stop that?
I think there needs to be an actual practical move from government to address the fact that the share of the NHS budget, which was 11% when I started off practicing medicine, is now down at 6%. Then steps need to be taken to reverse that trend, and that money needs to be specifically put in to allowing practices to employ more GPs, and specifically to encourage more young GPs to work, particularly in areas of deprivation like ours, where the need is greatest and the benefits to the patients will be greatest.
Finally, what would the impact be on patients if strike action goes ahead?
I've been a doctor now for almost 40 years. I've never been on strike ever. The thought of it I find appalling because I know it's going to impact on patients that I've looked after for decades. But right now, we do them a disservice unless we bring the politicians to the table to take practical action to reverse that funding trend.
Dr. John Montgomery speaking to me earlier. So what do you make of what's been said, and should GPs get more funding that they're asking for? Do get in touch with us. We love to hear from you. Our email address is there for you now, news7@bbc.co.uk. That's news7@bbc.co.uk. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight's News at 7. Still to come.
Hello there, I'm Daniel O'Donnell and I'm here in Glasgow just ahead of our shows, but you'll hear more about that on Reporting Scotland News at 7. Be sure to join us.
Lots of dry and sunny weather on the way over the next couple of days. The peak of the heat on Wednesday. I'll have a full forecast for you, looking at the weather for the week ahead later in the programme.
A man's died after an accident during yesterday's Etap Loch Ness cycle competition in Inverness. The crash involved one of the competitors and a car less than 2 miles from the finish line. Cameron Angus Mackay reports.
Police say the fatal collision involving a 49-year-old male cyclist and a white BMW happened here on Island Bank Road, which was part of the event route, at around 12:10 yesterday afternoon. The Etap Loch Ness is Scotland's largest closed road bike race, 66 miles of cycling from Inverness down towards Fort Augustus and then back to the Highland capital. Several thousand cyclists took part yesterday racing through this final stretch, Island Bank Road, towards the finish line in the city centre. The accident happened here in the final stage, where one side of the road was open to traffic with cones separating cyclists from vehicles. The cyclist was taken to Raigmore Hospital, where he died a short time later. The male driver and female passenger of the car were not injured. The road was closed after the incident and traffic and cyclists were diverted on a 300-yard detour, with competitors allowed to finish the event. Now, the organisers of Etap Loch Ness say they're devastated by the news, adding that they're working with Police Scotland as they carry out a full investigation. Police have asked anyone who saw anything to get in touch.
Cameron Angus Mackay with that report. Let's get a roundup now of the stories making the BBC News app in Scotland. An 18-year-old man's died in hospital 8 days after he was hit by a van in Dumfries in Galloway. It happened on the A75 near Carsluith on the 18th of April. 2 men have been arrested and charged with attempted murder after police were called to the Ballowan Road area of Inverness on Saturday night. A 19-year-old man was taken to hospital. The northeast of Scotland's only dedicated curling rink is at risk of closure, according to the operators. Curl Aberdeen says it needs £160,000 to cover increasing costs. Scanners which allow passengers to keep liquids in their bags are to be installed at Edinburgh Airport. They'll still need to be under 100 millilitres, but don't need to go in a plastic bag. And archaeologists have discovered stone tools which are over 11,000 years old. The discovery was made at an undisclosed site in Skye and could help understand one of the earliest populations in Scotland. Well, for more information on all of these stories, you can scan the QR code there in the screen for you now. It will take you to the BBC Scotland News app, where there's more there, including the latest on a proposed strike by bus drivers at Stagecoach. Now, earlier this month, a decade of conservation work was destroyed when a wildfire ripped across the Glenrosa Valley on the Isle of Arran. 27,000 trees and hundreds of reptiles were killed. It's thought the fire could have been sparked by sun shining through a discarded glass bottle. Kate Sampson is the National Trust's Senior Ranger for Arran, and she's been talking to Hope Webb about the impact.
The fire actually started just on the edge of the forestry there, and then it's spread right up the hill and then right across the hillside, round the corner and right up to Goat Fell.
And so, can it take us back and tell us how you learned the fire had started?
Yeah, so on the day the fire started, I was actually out doing a guided walk, and we were with some staff from the local resort, the Arran Hotel. We finished the walk at midday, and then I just went to the petrol station to get some diesel for the Land Rover. And when I turned the Land Rover around, I suddenly saw smoke coming from the glen. So it must have been 10, 15 minutes after I was in the glen that the fire started.
And you obviously work in and around this area every day, but this area also means so much to so many people, doesn't it?
So when it comes to the fire, Arran was just absolutely amazing. We had volunteers come and help, the mountain rescue team were there, the fire brigade, a lot of them who volunteers, and just everybody coming together to help us with the fire. So that, and we got so much messages of support as well. It was just absolutely amazing.
And how did you feel when you saw the fire, when you could see it spreading?
Oh, that's a difficult question, that one. Kind of like, it spread so fast, it's like quite a difficult situation because you're having to coordinate people and think about people's safety, but also it was years of our work going up in flames.
And we're driving up to the kind of scorched hillside just now. You've obviously had a few days to kind of digest what has happened. How do you feel seeing it now?
Yeah, it's quite tough because it's not just the trees, it's sort of all the wildlife in the glen as well that's been devastated. So we had a group come on Saturday to kind of have a look at that, and we monitored, instead of coming to monitor live animals in the glen, we actually ended up monitoring dead bodies, you know, and that's quite devastating, especially when you've been sort of recording them and looking at them and monitoring them over the years, you know, to suddenly find we had 72 dead slow worms and 25 dead adders, countless frogs and lizards, you know, and all just completely dead, you know. So that's quite devastating when you think about it, the impact of the fire has had on wildlife.
Hope Webb reporting from Arran there. Let's go to the Outer Hebrides now, where a mysterious low-frequency humming sound can be heard day and night. Some residents on the Isle of Lewis say it's stopping them from sleeping, including Lauren Grace Kirtley, who's been investigating the strange sound.
My husband couldn't hear it, although he said he could feel vibration. I thought, I can't be the only person on the island who can hear this. So I reached out, started a group on social media, and it turns out that there are lots of us all across the island who are hearing this and are finding it actually increasingly intrusive and distressing.
Tell us what it feels like then, Lauren, and what the impact is on your life.
Well, there's a huge amount of individual variation. Some people don't seem to be able to hear it at all. Some people can feel it as rather than hear it. I mean, we're measuring it using a spectrograph on places all the way across the island. And the thing about 50 hertz is that it lies within the range of human hearing, but right at the bottom end. And it'll depend on your own hearing range and also how loud it is, whether you're actually being able to perceive it. But people are describing all sorts of things, from a lack of sleep, a lack of concentration, vibrations, a sensation of like beating or fluttering in their eardrums. They're also reporting headaches and dizziness associated with it as well. So for those who are sensitive to it and who are able to hear it at the moment, it's a real problem.
So tell us more about what you have discovered through these investigations and what might be behind this. What's being done about this?
As we're ruling out things on the island, we're looking further afield. So yes, we are now looking at the potential that this could realistically be a marine source, either in the Minch, because we have reports now both sides of the Minch, or we have something perhaps in the North Atlantic. So that's our next route for investigation.
And are you getting any help from the authorities, Lauren, as you investigate this?
Yeah, so initially we approached the authorities on the island. So we approached SSEM and environmental health. They've actually been incredibly helpful to try and help us narrow down those sources. But now we're thinking wider afield than that. We've been in touch with Ofcom. We've been in touch with DEFRA as well, because we're aware that if this is coming from the sea and it's a consistent 50 hertz source of noise, the potential for marine wildlife and fishing and things like that are also there in the literature as well. So we are reaching out, and really, if anyone thinks that they have the expertise or the wherewithal or the equipment to help the people on Lewis find out where this noise is coming from, we'd be incredibly grateful to hear from anybody, because it is quite literally driving people mad at the moment up here.
Lauren, we really hope you get some answers soon, and we're grateful for your time tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure we'll keep you updated on that one. Right, still to come, we have the weather with Christopher, and I've been chatting to the singer Daniel O'Donnell. But first, let's get the sport with Lewis.
Thanks, Laura. Hello there. Celtic captain Cal McGregor says they're now aiming to follow up their latest Premiership title success by setting the record straight against Rangers, who beat Brendan Rodgers' side last month. The pair meet again this Sunday. As for events at Tannadice, well, it was a rout in the end, with Adam Ida rounding off a 5-0 demolition of Dundee United to confirm what had become an inevitable league success for the Parkhead club. Celtic have now won the Premiership in 13 of the last 14 seasons. They still have the chance of making it a treble this campaign too, when they face Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup final. Daizan Maeda, Nicholas Kuhn and Dundee's Simon Murray are all Premiership Player of the Year nominees, along with McGregor.
That was great, obviously, get over the line and celebrate together, which you need to do, because it's so hard, so difficult to do. We can enjoy being champions, but obviously we know what's riding on the game at the weekend as well. We want to put it right after what happened in the last one. So yeah, it's the perfect game for us, really. I think we've always got a point to prove, but I think especially when you lose a derby game, then it hurts even more, and everything that goes with that, the sort of media stuff around it. So yeah, we want to try and answer that as quickly as we can, and obviously Sunday gives us a chance to do that, and hopefully we can go and set the record straight from our point of view.
Kilmarnock's Derek McInnes, Falkirk's John McGlynn and St Mirren's Stephen Robinson are just some of the names being touted as potential new managers of Hearts, who sacked Neil Critchley on Saturday night. The aforementioned Simon Murray struck the goal to give Dundee a narrow win at Tynecastle, which ultimately cost Critchley his job. Hearts are now 8th in the Premiership, 5 points ahead of 11th placed Ross County, who they travel to play in Dingwall on Saturday. We caught up with some Hearts supporters to gauge their view on things.
I think, it's a results-based business, and he didn't finish in the top 6, which is a minimum for a team like Hearts.
I think it was the right decision. I think when he first came in, he didn't have a lot of the supporters kind of with him anyway. It's not worked out how we wanted it to, but he nearly got us safe, but the fact we're not mathematically there yet kind of sealed it for him, I think.
I thought it was a slightly strange one, given that he's got a pretty good form record, 15 wins out of 35 or something like that, so yeah, bit strange, but I think behind the scenes there's obviously something else going on.
We need to be ambitious now. It's just been a dismal season, all right from the very start.
Could be somebody we've never heard of before, but it might be somebody like a McInnes or a Robinson maybe, I don't know. I'd take them though, to be honest. Maybe not McInnes, we've been linked with him before, but give me a Robinson, I'd have him tomorrow.
We won't be short of managers looking for the position, so hopefully it's a good one.
As well as Celtic on Saturday, there were scenes of joy for Peterhead as the Blue Toons sealed the League Two title by beating closest challengers East Fife 1-0. It's an early success for rookie co-managers Jordan Brown and Ryan Strachan. Kenny Crawford caught up with one of them earlier on.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind for sure, and it probably is just starting to sink in a bit now. We've been back to some sort of normality today, back to the land of the living after an exceptional weekend, just one that that will last forever in the memories. We've had many good times, but I think each time you do it, it gets better and better, and when you share it with a group of the boys that we've had and everyone at the club, and that special day, you know, culminating in winning it in front of our own fans and everyone's families and that there, it's just, yeah, words wouldn't do it justice.
You're just 32 and Ryan Strachan, your co-manager, is 34, and it's about 2 years since you took on the role at Balmoor, so to get this kind of success so early in your managerial career is quite something.
It's funny, age is a weird one. It doesn't feel like I'm only 32. It probably doesn't look it either. But I think, yeah, delighted to what we've achieved, and I think to be that age and to be so close to the guys, it makes it more special.
And your brother Jason was captain. He got to lift the trophy. Was that nice to see?
The professionalism and leadership that he's shown, you know, he's been at the club a long time now as well, and obviously he stayed there when I left and went to Cove and came back, and I think it means so much to him, you know, to do that and to be that leader, and he puts so much pressure on himself, but it all comes worthwhile for days like that.
You're still registered as a player, Jordan, but as we said, you're just 32. I looked at when you last played, I think it was December, before Christmas. Are you thinking that you're hanging up the shooting boots early, or what are you thinking?
It's a tough one, Kenny. It really is a tough one, because I don't feel I'm ready to, but the bottom line is we've signed too many good players. I can't get near the team.
And finally, Jordan, you're spinning a lot of plates. You're Peterhead co-manager, you've got a job and you've got a young family as well. Are you going to get a chance to switch off over the summer?
I hope so, yeah. I hope so. Once the madness of the boys stop celebrating, I think I'll get some precious family time. Obviously, my daughter's 18 months. She was at the game Saturday. My fiancée, she was there as well. So no, look, they put up a lot. I really, really do. And every single day they live exactly what we live. Through a slightly different lens. So no, we're getting away with a family holiday. So unfortunately, Jason will be on that one as well. So I won't quite get rid of him. But yeah, no, we're all going away for Mum's 60th, which will be brilliant.
Well, Jordan, thanks very much. Well done again for your success, and all the best in League One.
Thanks, Kenny. I appreciate it.
Peterhead co-manager Jordan Brown speaking to Kenny Crawford there. And I'll leave you tonight with a goal of the season contender. It comes from the fourth tier in Elgin City's Dejon Goulding en route to a 3-0 win over Stranraer to secure the club's place in the playoffs to reach League One. A goal so good, the opposition commentators seem to enjoy it too.
Oh, it's a pure ball.
Yeah, pure choice by Ryan.
Yeah.
Here's Goulding. Robertson races back.
Yeah.
Dejon Goulding gets away from all three of them.
Him out of the play.
Yeah, he did. He turns and he scores. And that is possibly a goal of the season contender from Dejon Goulding. 41st minute in. Top finish from Goulding, who's lost his shirt.
Remember, you can read and watch a lot more on the BBC Sports Scotland website too, including reaction to Eilish McColgan's new Scottish record in the London Marathon yesterday. She bettered her mum Lizzie's time as well. And Laura, I must mention the snooker as well before I go. John Higgins in quarter-final action tomorrow against Mark Williams. You can watch that online as well on iPlayer.
Indeed we will. Lewis, thank you so much.
Thanks, Laura.
Now, he has sold millions of records, received an MBE and collected hordes of adoring fans during his 40-year career. And now Daniel O'Donnell is about to embark on a new UK tour. He stopped by to say hello in Glasgow earlier and told me more about his Irish family's many Scottish connections and his first gigs in Glasgow.
Hair of gold, eyes of blue, prettiest girl I ever knew.
When we used to come over, we would come over on holidays on the bus, on McGinley's bus, and always when we'd come off the boat and come up past Girvan, my mother would say there was a gate, and my mother would say that's the farm we came to on the to do the Tatty Hoka. But my father worked here, you know, all as a labourer along, you know, in Fife and Forfar and Perthshire and all along Ayrshire, you know.
And your life could not have been more different, and your career, and you're now about to mark a milestone in your career. What do you think it is that has kept you going all of this time and still enjoying such success and such love from your fans?
Well, I've been very, very fortunate, you know, from the very beginning, a great, you know, support from the people who come to the shows or buy the records. The first place that my name was advertised was in Glasgow in May 1983. And then I came over here on the boat again with a hold all full of 45 singles. And I had friends here that lived in Eaglesham, Kathleen and Eugene Sweeney, and they took me in to the Irish club. It was on Copla Street. The Squirrel Bar was up in the Barras, and the Claddagh Club just off the Victoria Road. But I went up and sang with the bands, and Kathleen sold some of the records, and they asked me then would I come back and sing, you know, advertise me. And I came back in May 1983, and that was the first time my name was up outside the door to sing.
So what kind of reception did you get?
Great.
Did it feel special?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then down through the years, you know, we've been here so many times, and you get, I mean, I've got to know so many of the people that come to the shows because I meet people after, and that's the best part of it, really.
Will you just keep going then, as long as you can, as long as you're enjoying it?
I've cut down a good bit, you know. And I suppose I do think the time will come when I won't tour. I hope that I'll always be able to sing. I want always to be good at it, you know. And, you know, I wouldn't like to be out on the stage tired looking or tired, you know. But I'm fine now. I'm still only a kind of young,
you're
old,
still young.
I'm a young old fella.
Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in to see us today.
Thanks a million, and thanks for your time.
Lovely to meet you, Daniel. And the Scottish part of Daniel's tour will see him play at Aberdeen's Music Hall on the 6th of May and Glasgow's Royal Concert Hall the following day. Well, I've no idea how you follow that, Christopher. Sorry. I'm sure you'll try. We'll take that. We'll take sunshine.
Yeah,
it's really warming up, isn't it?
For a couple of days at least. Let me show you some of the pictures that have been coming into us today. The best of the sunshine was actually in Shetland. However, over the next couple of days, Shetland will be quite cloudy compared with elsewhere. Some lovely cherry blossoms there, cheering things up in West Lothian, but many areas were rather cloudy, including the West Highlands. But, as I mentioned, some sunshine on the way. Let's take a look at what's happening, because we've got high pressure situated towards our east, and we're dragging in some warm air off the near continent over the next couple of days. But after sort of Thursday, low pressure then takes over. We see a change in wind direction and the temperatures come back down again. First thing tomorrow is a dry start. There'll be some areas of cloud around. Temperatures around 8 to 11 Celsius first thing. Winds largely light. Still a few showers towards the northwest Highlands, across Skye, the Hebrides, and in towards the Northern Isles. But actually that wet weather tending to pull away as we head through the course of the day. So let's take a look at the rest of Tuesday morning towards Tuesday lunchtime. Any early cloud for much of the mainland thins and breaks, sunshine develops and temperatures climb 20 to 22 Celsius for most. You can see though the cloud and the shower still with us through Caithness and the Northern Isles. And then a few mist patches first thing on Wednesday, but another dry and fine day, lots of sunshine. That's the peak of the heat. So temperatures 21, 22, maybe 23 degrees, a few showers across Grampian, drifting north and northeastwards. And then that change in wind direction. The high pressure declines, low pressure takes over, the wind's coming in from the west, northwest, and that'll see temperatures coming back down again. So it's cloudier on Thursday. There'll be some showers around at times, and temperatures rather than the low 20s, more like the mid-teens, breezier from the west as well. And then beyond that, for the extended outlook, don't lose heart because high pressure returns. However, its placing is not ideal. It's slightly to our west. That means the wind's still coming from the north. So whilst it is largely dry through the end of the week and into the weekend, with that high pressure, there'll be some sunshine, not the warmth we're expecting the next couple of days. So westerly there on Friday, then on Saturday, the wind's coming in from the north. Some areas of cloud, still some sunshine, mid to high teens. But it's the next couple of days that we'll really see those temperatures peak. You can see it on the outlook there. Tuesday, Wednesday, temperatures into the 20s and then declining through the rest of the week, but largely dry. That's the forecast.
Yeah, I just heard you say don't lose heart, and I'm holding on to that. Only the good stuff.
Yes, just as we start May, it comes back down again, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, we'll stick with it. Chris, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'll be back here again tomorrow night at 7, and I hope you can join me then. Goodbye from all of us.